I'm finally getting the jade thin enough so you can get some translucency here. And I've been using that hand tool for quite a number of hours now, just trying to reduce the thickness of this leaf so it looks quite realistic. So it's got a ways to go before the surface is smooth enough to shine and polish, but it's all part of another project that I'm going to share with you in a few minutes. My name's Lyle Sopel, and welcome to my studio. I'm here talking about this latest project, which is part of a Cala Lilly composition. And I started it a few weeks ago, and I demonstrated how this came from a solid block. And you can see here how thick the piece of jade was when I started. It had to be as thick as these two high points are in order to get that wavy movement in there. So I've been sculpting it and taking off all that extra material to make it thin. So I'm just trying to make sure it's uniform all the way through now before I go on to the sanding process. So look over here, and what's my intention is to add the different parts to it. Like I'm going to add a stem, and this is one of two leaves. I'm going to add another leaf, and I've also included, this is the Cala Lily. It's the blossom part, and I have a stem for the Cala Lily, which is in amber, and that's going to sit in there like that. And that's all going to go on to another stem here, which is this is all nephrite jade, and you see how it fits in there like that. So the intention is to put it together in a natural way, as it would grow, I think. And then here I've got a quartz crystal that's got some natural faceting in it, and I'm going to use that like a vase. I'm just right into this idea of creating something that's kind of like a natural flower arrangement. I'm looking for the way that it could fit together as a flower arrangement, that sort of thing. And sometimes I think of sculpture that way as well, as kind of, because I work in so many pieces sometimes in some compositions, I like to arrange them as if they fit together in a composition, like maybe a flower arrangement or something like that. I just kind of like that theme, and so I work with that sometimes. So in this case, you know, I started with material that was this size. Started with material that was this color. I started with material that was like this. So gemstones have quite a limitation, and sometimes that's really good as far as the creative process goes, because you don't have infinite choices, you have limited choices. And quite often the limited choices give you the best options, because the imagination can just go anywhere. But as soon as you put sort of parameters around it, like gemstones, pieces only this size, or colors only like this, or colors only like that, then your imagination has to sort out what you have. And here's a really great example of what that is. I wanted to add a hummingbird to this composition as well, and so I had a piece of sugilite, and I save all these things from a long time ago, and I'll just show you the color of it. It's very, very vibrant, but only had a little piece like this, so just a tiny, tiny little piece. And I was thinking, well, maybe I could make a dragonfly out of this or some other thing like that, but my wonderful wife came through the studio and she said, oh, why don't you make a hummingbird out of that? And it just turned out to be the perfect thing, so that's what I did. So one of the other things about a creative process is to listen to what other people say. And I think sometimes that's very difficult as a creative person. I have silver here as a beak. I want to show you what it looks like as the composition, if I can find all the parts. So this is how I build them. I cut the pieces, fit them together, and then piece them up, piece them together, sand polish, and pin and glue. Now this is a little delicate right here for sure, but it really gives a good example of what it's going to look like when it's finished. And I think that's so important for me to see the proportion of the piece. And so I've got all these different sections of this composition. So I'm going to have that hummingbird in this flower, like so, right? So he's going to be part of this composition. He can be in this flower. So the overall composition is going to be put together, and then the hummingbird is going to be added on the top. I love to put life, a little bit of more life, like something that we can all relate to, into the composition. But what I wanted to talk about today is how this came about. How does this idea come into being? Like, how is this a work of art? How does it turn into something rather than just a bunch of ideas that I'm going to take this apart because I don't trust myself. How does this come together as a work of art with all these different parts and pieces, and why do I think this is right and not that? Why do I think that this leaf is going to work with this shape and all of that kind of things? Like, there's some elements of composition that are so important, like balance, rhythm, and harmony, that all have to be interplayed with the work of art, but it's the same as writing music or playing music. All those things have to be in play in order to have a beautiful sounding piece of music. The same as with sculpture or painting. You need those general framework to make up a beautiful thing. So there's kind of like a formula or a process or something that works all the time. So there's structure, okay? The structure to it. But beyond that, how do you make a decision? How do I decide that this curves this way instead of that way? How do I decide that this is open or not closed? How do I decide that this leaf shape goes with this? How do I decide it's going to be on that base instead of on this base? So as you can see, I make a lot of decisions throughout the process of creating this piece. I'm always trying to decide, what is it? I'm trying to be, I'm not trying to be analytical. I'm trying to go with the flow. So I intentionally do not do drawings of this. I started with some rough sketches of what it might look like. I looked at some Instagram photographs of things like this in nature and so on. But then I put that all aside. Okay, I don't want that anymore. I just want to infuse this sculptural idea with how I feel. So how I feel is something I have to decide. How do I feel about this? Do I like this? Do I like that? Do I like this? Do I like that? So I'm always, like everyone, we make judgments about what we like, what we don't like. You know, some people like it hot, some like it cold, some like it spicy, some like it mild, some like it sweet. All those kinds of things are things that are part of our conscious mind. And so while I'm creating, these kinds of things are going through me, and I'm trying to put that aside as well. I'm trying to come from another place that doesn't make judgments like that. It feels, this place that feels is what's right, what's wrong, what's right, what's wrong. That's the interplay. That's the part that keeps me really churned and being a creative person for more than 40 years. I love that aspect of creativity. This part that it's not known yet. I don't know yet how this composition is going to play out. I've got an idea, I've got kind of a concept, but I'm not there yet. I still have many, many, many decisions to make, or I'm going to try to feel my way through the composition. So I like to work with it in reality rather than in a drawing. And I think this is the truth about all creative endeavors. There's never an end goal chosen before you start. There's an idea, a concept, a possibility. But if you hold true to a decided, definitive beginning, this is the way it is and it's not going to be any different than this when you start, then you're going to miss out the whole process of the creative act. You're going to end up with a machine. You're going to end up with something that's like mechanical. It's going to be never anywhere near the concept of creative output. It's going to be uninteresting for certain. You can never touch on the emotional aspect of the creative process by doing that. You have to be open enough to make judgments of the thing you're working on as you go through it. And you have to be brave. This is the thing about being creative, is you have to be trusting in yourself and trusting in the outcome of your decision. And if you're feeling it, it'll work out well. If you're willing to go into the flow of the unknown and go there and play with it, then you're gonna have a good time for sure. And if you really enjoy it, other people will too. And that's the point, I think, of sculpture art as like entertainment. It's for a viewer, and it's for a viewer's interpretation. So they're gonna absorb all those things that I put into it, and they're all gonna enjoy all aspects of what that might be. So that's one aspect about creativity. And you know, I really like to go into depth about how this all can come about, and I think you can learn to do this. I think this is something that I didn't know completely when I started. This is something that can be learned. And when you have some basic principles, you know, like the design principles, you can apply those creative principles to the thing that you might be working on and get better results. You get more pleasure, more joy out of what you're doing. And when that's there, then you can share it with other people as well. Other people will find the same thing. They'll find the joy and the pleasure in what you're doing. And that's the important part. So if you want to know more about the process of creativity, how you can get more out of it yourself or develop it, you can go to createmorenow.com, and you'll get some free lessons that I put together for you if you want that. And you can click on the button below or the link below. And also you can go to my YouTube channel under Create More Now, under Lyle Sopel, and you'll get some videos and some other parts of the creative process that you can enjoy and hopefully get something more out of it all. Okay, so thanks for being with me today, and I look forward to talking to you real soon. Stay creative.